Doesn't get any better than that. The first one for the Dockers.
Having the overview of that, you get to see that on the left-hand side, as Josh Tracy is running at the ball carrier in a lead, you got Shea Bolton, seen running out there towards goals, and that creates uncertainty. Multiple leads. One's going to the goal square, one's coming at the kicker. It means that the extra is unsure. Where do I go? How do I impact this footy coming in?
And Alistair Lynch, what are you seeing regarding that Luke Jackson as he makes his way to the centre square bounce again?
You made a reasonable assumption, I think, Dale, by saying he will start here and push forward. Now, albeit in the last 3 or 4 minutes, he took 2 forward half marks. He's legitimately just playing as a follower. He's running everywhere around the field. He's back in D50 as well, so this is very much his role.
Heaney, great form last week. Jackson, there you go. Plays a tackle to allow Siren to go and get. G. Clark was slow. Hunted down by Marty.
He's quick, Joel Marty. He might not win the agility test, but I tell you what, you let him get a run up lane, he has got some straight line speed. He's like your quarter-mile dragster. Oh, that's a bit easy. Now that's... We've all played on this ground. That's not a long kick from that side. It just feels like the ball travels longer. You can't allow that short lead up.
And especially today, the wind is favouring that end right of screen.
Has Lloyd got this kick in him? Winds up. Gee, he has spanked that all the way. Please.
That's why you don't allow the little lead up in that position of the ground. That's like that. Lynchy, that feels like a 45-metre kick from that line out there on that side.
Yeah, absolutely. With the conditions today, like beautiful warm day, but also the assistance of the breeze, they're going to cover that journey quite easily, and certainly that was a very well-executed kick.
It's well done here by Lloyd. It's something that the AFL needs to tighten up on when players crib out to their preferred side. And even if they continue running straight, they're still not kicking over the man on the mark. And they take an additional 2 or 3. And gain a lot of yardage to be able to make that distance comfortably. It's a good hit by Lloyd.
264 games of experience right there, Jake Lloyd. Showing quite a few how it's done with that extra metres that you're allowed. Darcy got the palm down, but can they get the clearance? Sarong got it up. Wagner. Short. Should it be Wagner, given there's been a lot of Oxford talk with this ground in the last couple of weeks. Flying in the air. Good attack from Sheldrick. That's what they would hope he would do for the rest of the year. One reason they let Luke Parker go. This is 4th season on the list, Angus Sheldrick. They're pick 18 from 2021. Secondary knock on. Hayward caught.
So we've seen Darcy go at it now against the point. It's going to be interesting what role Patrick Voss plays from here in, given that Jackson's almost the 2 I see here in the ruck.
Robot on the strip and then the roller. Clark, the meat and the sandwich. 31 possessions in a dominant performance last week. Jordan Clark, most of anyone on the ground in that win over St Kilda. Brayshaw tried to get it away and did. Superb to Wagner. Tracy turns to see what's on offer. He's got the man Derm was talking about, Voss. Spare in the hole. Hand on it from McInerney. That was enough. Lloyd, Milliken. Outside of the boot from Cunningham. And it's on the full. No, touched.
Well, he's placed it perfectly.
He has.
He was toes on the defensive goal line. Maybe got away with it because I think he went a check side to try and keep it in play. Perfect.
Harry Cunningham.
They'll take a stoppage from there, Dwayne.
He's been a great contributor. He's now played the most games of any player in the history of the game never to get a Brownlow vote. Harry Cunningham. He is the #1 all time. Central kick to the square. Hamling. Frederick! Went for the miracle. Front-on contact was allowed there because it wasn't a marking contest. Blasted out. Warner got a hand on it. Fights on. And that looked like a little push in the back. It was Wagner's ball.
I think regarding the Cunningham Brownlow votes, you don't want any now, Bueno. It's a badge of honour.
Yeah.
Why get a token one towards the back end of your career?
He's passed Taylor Duray and Jordan Roughhead on that list, who are the other two ahead of him.
They'll be thrilled with that. Shout out.
Where's Lynchy?
To the top of the square. Off hands, scrambled away again. Mark and Ernie, but it might be coming back. Great grab by Clark. Got some airtime. Good marking conditions as well in this game. It's a good spot with that. Voss was almost nudged out. McCartan, who's back in, was in the middle of it. Amos, half court. Reed got a half a toe on it. Wagner and Warner.
That end seems to be holding up. I know that the end seems to be holding up nice. The only thing I've seen is that Josh Tracy went to make a lead before. Like the starting blocks, he just skated a bit with his first push-off. That's the only thing I can see with that end.
Darcy rips out of the air, trying to get a shot away. It was half smothered. McCartan back in after illness. Trouble though. Dudley. Tracy. Further out. Hooked by Frederick to Skinny.
This game's started with great intensity. Spoke about the Fremantle style, a little bit more controlled, maintained possession as Brodie Grundy's having a well-deserved rest already.
Mills does that a bit. Looks like he's going to wind wide and then pulls the kick late to the middle row bottom. Warner, Sheldrick. Wicks. The lead-up pass, delightful to Campbell, who was a very good user. He's got a Marty on the move. Flicked away last second by Cox. Marty's hands weren't quite clean enough. He's coming back from a week off. Had some hamstring awareness. Reed, little tap down was clever to Voss. The old 1-2, Voss wants it back. Reed wants it back. So here's the umpire seeing that. It's a tackle that was illegal on Erasmus.
He's suggesting it was in the back.
Yeah.
Watch the amusement of James Jordan.
Box. Ryan. Banfield.
So we've got 17 Sydney Swans behind the line of this kick from Banfield.
Oh, he pokes it to Chapman for the 1-2. Found some space and launches. Gets a lot on the kick. Milliken with a huge fist. He got some ups and got some knuckles on the Sharon.
Straight out, guys. From behind. Anyone out?
Listening to the umpire, everyone out. They've just run 100 to get there. They're a bit gassed.
They do a lot of coaching these days, the umpires.
It's easy for you to say, run out of there.
Don't hold, don't grab. Hurry up and kick it. Buller was in the middle of that pack and can't get near it.
My personal favourite from an umpire is, if you do that again, I'll pay a free kick. Maybe you just pay a free kick for the first one.
Yeah, two halves make a whole.
Exactly.
Dean Cox has had a tough first season as coach. But again, they win 8 from 8, they play finals.
Brodie Grundy's pushed forward here while McLean's on ball.
Rasmus, another touch. It was touch, so it'll play on. McCartan goes with the fist. Frederick, that was clever. Until it just went over the head of Amos. Hamling tried to be clever as well with a little toe poke. The ex-Docker, it's been a long road. But Joel Hamling started when he was drafted at the Cats. Didn't play a game there. Premiership player for the Dogs. Originally from the Cable Beach Greenbacks in WA. Grundy's slap was superb. See a few rucks actually doing that these days, which is great. They're not clear of the congestion. Ryan, nice mark on Buller. Banfield. Precision ball use is the mode, and Frederick was just inside 50, and this was obviously their plan, not to go too deep, because all the Swans had folded back and clogged up deep in 50. Frederick would line up from the arc.
Methodical, just short hit-ups. 3 or 4 in a row there.
Struck it pretty well. It's drifting, though.
So they miss on that occasion, but it's good play there by the Dockers. So that chip mark game, just trying to crib their way up the field, trying to entice the Swans to come up and play on them.
Shooting his eyes from the sun, Heaney, and Dudley did enough.
Well done by Dudley.
Drop it across.
So what the Sydney Swans try and do is they get numbers back behind the football, try and force the Dockers to kick long to a contest where they can try and slingshot and rebound off the half-back line with speed. If the Dockers continue to do the chip mark, it'll force the Swans to come up and play on someone.
Jackson ripped out of the air. Heaney doing what Heaney does. Coming down to lend a hand. There's a hold. Is it on Buller? It is. So Buller wins himself a free. He's going 3 for Jack Buller.
Yeah, Brennan Cox knew he had a bit of support, so he was trying to ground Buller then, but just a little bit too much of a grab.
Hamling.
Just in control mode now. Both teams.
Well, Wicks, it's against his natural instinct to not run. So, here he goes. He just couldn't help himself. He's like that cat with the string term you've talked about a bit. He dangled enough. He just can't help himself. Dudley jumps in, and he might be in trouble.
That's a junior play, that.
Especially against a man with Callum Mills' experience. To Grundy. Took the step. Here goes Wicks. On one of those dynamite Wicks runs. Heads long, goal square. Buller had 3 to beat. Ryan Buller nearly got there. And they fumbled it through cleverly for a behind.
Now, just out of screen, once again, Warner got free into the forward pocket. The kicker just didn't see him. He's making space as he pushes into the forward line. If they raise their vision, they will see him, and he will bang on a goal or two here.
O'Driscoll waits. Uses the width. Erasmus and Cunningham got there ahead of him and got one of the ear on the way through to Sharon. Says a word on the way past. Put it in the memory bank. Sets it up for the high flyers. Haywood from 4 deep was one of them. Ryan caught. Just got it away in time. Johnson, O'Driscoll, Frederick.
Just a little fluttery there, O'Driscoll. He just caught it, didn't totally secure the ball, but thought, no, this is hot, it's going on, and couldn't hit the target with it. Otherwise, they're out.
7th game of the season for Nathan O'Driscoll, 31st of his career. McCann. Haywood. Grundy. Heads out wide. Papley. Good step on Clark. Tries for the spear pass. Didn't quite work, but the Energizer Bunny is starting to create some stuff. And Papley having a word there.
Yeah,
I think he's asking a forward to lead at him.
Yes.
Says, I'm coming through. I need you to come full-chested, please.
Yeah, there's a bit of snappy Tom today, obviously. We're going to get snappy on that. Tried to get it away, and that's ball.
Well, the Dockers have done a really good job to minimise the influence of Warner, Heaney and Goulden. Warner's had the 4, Heaney and Goulden just 2 apiece so far. It's great control of the prime movers.
Brayshaw coming off a 25 possession game last week in that narrow win. Johnson likes to run as well. Plants his foot into this. Gets it in the Voss direction. Couldn't quite get the fly that he was after. Amos couldn't quite get the bounce pop that he was after.
Amos, Voss, and the other crummy player, they all got goal side on that kick. They're working hard. They're allowing Sydney the front position on that type of play, and then they get behind them.
Jackson and Grundy. Voss was there, couldn't trap it. Rowbottom was over it, but was clever enough to hit it through his legs. Milliken on hands and knees. Sheldrick through his legs. Frederick feeds it out. O'Driscoll, who we've spoken about, ball's following Grundy at the moment. And Marty goes up. Didn't hold the chest mark on. Here goes Papley. Hunted down by Pearce. Advantage. And now it's ball. Okay.
Yeah, he knew though.
Yeah.
He knew.
Fair
That's
enough.
on him.
Yeah. And now it's trouble. That's a brilliant run down by Frederick.
Great
Just
chance.
to mop up that whole mess.
We've gone
I'll
from
come in with the kitchen products and we'll fix this now.
gone from control to chaos.
Banfield. Heads wide. Tracy.
Poor Sheldrick's landed on the edge of that cricket pitch.
Yes.
Talking about how soft this surface is. I don't reckon that landing spot was.
Cut yourself on that.
Yeah, the different consistencies. Jackson gathered his own crumb. How good was that? Gave it up to Brayshaw. It's across the face. And Little and Lloyd takes the mark.
We just see Caleb Sarong's just come back on the ground. He's only had the one disposal, that heavy tag from James Jordan. Jordan is spewing. He can't get back on, so Rowbottom's got the handover. Jordan's just pacing the line, making sure that he doesn't get any kicks while he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah, good call, Itchy. So,
There we are.
2 minutes to play with here, Cunningham. Jordan. Arguably the best kick in the comp.
Only 2 possessions so far for him.
Yeah.
It looks like Wagner's got the roll on him. Doing a
Yep.
really good job.
Mills to Rowbottom. On the flyby, he goes to McInerney. He misses.
Just on that, I mean, both teams are working pretty hard, but Sydney are getting some really simple shots at goal when they eventuate. It's like stuff which should be covered. That's an easy wrap-around give-off to a man who's got that journey.
Dudley. See the signs up on the bench. 1 minute left. So both teams know. McCartan outmarked by Jackson. It's a hard man to outmark.
McCartan actually tried to mark that. There was
Yeah.
no spoiling attempt. He thought there was a little bit of spitfire going on here. And he's going
Well,
to
he
get
got him
him
late too, and that's a bit silly, you'd think. I mean, Jackson sucked him in there. That was very clever by Cool Hand Luke. You sucked him in and said, this is exactly what I'd like you to do. Whack me after. And now Voss loads up and finishes a little clinic, some Sunday school for the Swans there.
And still a little bit of niggle on behind play. It was a great grab on centre wing initially by Luke Jackson. Great one-on-one mark. And here's the afters. There's not a heap in it, but we do know that it doesn't take much for it to be downfield as they remonstrate.
In the modern game, that is, in terms of interpretations, that is the softest
Yes.
we give.
But we still pay it to,
We do.
and then just a slack moment, no one on the mark. Boss takes full. Gets full value from that. He enjoys the goal.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, they've got a nice flamboyant forward line. They've got the prancing pony, the big kahuna, and the unicorn all down there. Take your pick.
Any footballers?
And then Shea Bolton
That's right.
wanders down, and he's the most skillful of all of them.
All square is about right. It feels about right. This is a really good contest, and umpire wasn't quite up to it there to the restart.
Shea Bolton in game number 150 is yet to touch the pill today.
Strange.
He's in there now.
To Ruckman, dance that dance. Heaney to Gould it. He torps it inside 50 in beautiful lead by McLean. He came out like a steam train.
Just read the cue better.
Sarong and Jordan. So that's the tag. Sarong getting a little frustrated at the moment. And now Gordon.
But for Sydney, you do not go overboard here. You do that after you've kicked the goal. You make sure you do nothing to turn the ball over.
All you're doing is making Hayden McLean nervous right now. 16 goals, 9 this season. On to Siren for the lead. Gets it.
Bangs it.
Stage is set for a fantastic contest between a team looking for a win to get them inside the 8 and another team looking for a win to to keep their mathematical chances of finals alive. Great to have your company wherever you're watching. At quarter time, it's the Swans by goal.
All right, g'day folks, welcome back. Sunday football, and of course here at the SCG today, Sydney Swans taking on the Fremantle Dockers. Of course, we're all cheering for Eddie G's Fremantle Dockers to get up today, but Sydney getting a goal late on. The Siren puts them in front 3-3-21. The Dockers 2-3-15. Tell you what, bit of an arm wrestle game out there this afternoon in the opening term. Both teams feeling each other out. Tell you what, it looks like a nice, beautiful day up there. The SCG for football. The crowd is in, and it's just a fantastic game we have got up there today. As I said, it's a tight old game at the moment. A little bit of feeling in this game. Of course, Sydney Swans playing for pride, and of course the Dockers, they want to be contenders this year. They don't want to be pretenders. That's right. They want to be contenders. They're going to do it on the road at the SCG. The Dockers want to stay in the 8 and, of course, that hunt for the finals. These are the games the Fremantle Dockers need to win. You know what? I tell you what, she's a close one. It's whoever wants this game the most. Whoever does the 1%ers, who's clean with the ball and who can deliver the ball to their forwards the best will get this job done. Eddie G, no live ladder yet. All right. We won't put the live ladder up, but I didn't get around to the ins and outs because I was a little bit late starting. Let's have a look at Sydney's ins and outs first. Tom McCartan, Joel Hamling and Joel Armity coming in for the Sydney Swans. Aaron Francis, Rampe and Oliver Florent going out. Matty Roberts is the sub, of course, for Sydney today. Coming in, though, a couple of good big ins for Freo. Alex Pearce and Jager O'Meara. They should do the job. For the Dockers, I think, a couple of star players coming in, going out. Nat Fife, well, I think he must have had a little bit of a niggly injury last week because he was a sub last week and didn't get a chance to go on the ground for a run. Oscar McDonald also going out. The sub, Jager O'Meara. Tell you what, that's not a bad sub to have, Jager O'Meara. The milestone game, milestone boy is Shai Bolton. Of course, 150 games for him today. Well done to Shai. Another great player over there for the Fremantle Dockers. There's your squads. Hey, let's have a look at some of the goal scorers. No multiple goal scorers out on the ground today. All singles. And, of course, for the Fremantle Dockers, flag mantle, as Eddie G likes to call them. Hopefully half-time will lead then the live ladder. All right. If they're leading at half-time, we'll put up the live ladder then. Paddy Voss and Josh Tracy on the board for a single each for the Dockers. For the Swans, Hayden McLean, Jake Lloyd, and the big man, Brodie Grundy. Always gives 100% goal single for Sydney. Let's have a look at the ball magnets. No one in double figures yet. Up until half-time, Michael Frederick doing a good job there for the Dockers on 9, leading the way. 8 kicks, 1 handball, 2 marks, 2 tackles. Come on, you need to kick straight. 2 behinds for him. Luke Ryan, next best on 8. For Sydney, Callum Mills, tops their table with 8. And, of course, Brodie Grundy, the big man, who gives 100% every week. He'll have a good game. I tell you what, that's one they got to stop, Albert. That's one they got to stop. 7 disposals, 8 hit-outs, 3 clearances. He's kicked a sausage roll. A goal already. We'll just roll on down a little bit. Josh Tracy, the 5 touches, 3 kicks. 1 goal for him. Tom Papley, I tell you what, there's a player that Freo have got to keep quiet. Just the 5 disposals, 4 kicks, no score yet, just like Fremantle want, because they don't want him coming alight, bringing the crowd alight and lighting up his players as well. Andy Brayshaw, well, he needs to come on and fire up a little bit. He's only had the 5 touches in the opening term. As it looked, there's a few players that have been a little bit quiet. Chad Warner is one. The Chad, just the 4 disposals, 4 kicks, as Isaac Heaney on his slow start again, the 3 touches, 2 kicks, a handball, couple clearances for him. Alex Pearce, not the same, just a couple of touches, 1-on-1. I tell you what, here's a man you want to get rolling, Freo. Isaiah Dudley, He can do some sparkly things, but he's only had the 2 at the moment. Same as Caleb Sarong down there for Freo. Just the 1 touch and 1 handball. Come on. Come on. Joel Armity, the 1 touch. Also 1 kick for Sydney Swans. Hey, pass away. Tine, shouty. Should be a great game, Albert. Absolutely should be a great game. It's been a pretty good game so far. As the score suggests, she's pretty tight. Sydney lead due to that kick on the Siren, slotted through for a goal, and that put them ahead by 6 points. All right, let's head back down to the action for the second quarter, where it's the Sydney Swans by 1 goal. Come on, Freo for Addy G.
So Sydney are +7 in that part of the ground, which allows them to get field position off the back of that.
And you can see the stretch jumper there, which gives the indication of what's been happening out there without us having to explain it to you. That man's been all over in James Jordan.
I've loved the way the Sydney forward line has been able to tackle to contain the ball within that area. 14-12 in favour of Sydney in terms of the inside 50s. Even though when Fremantle go in very quick, but they can't keep the ball in there. They've got to get value when they go in.
Grundy and Jackson resume hostilities. Jackson with the reach. And he reached over the shoulder of Brodie Grundy, according to the umpire. He hands off to Chad Warner. Straight down the spine, little wobbler. Hayward was slick. This will be good for James Jordan's confidence in their head-to-head with Sarong. Take that.
Oh, they're in. And they're into it behind play.
Centre half forward.
Yeah, a few of the Swans let Sarong know that was his man. He just, Sarong can't chase him. He had the ball. We have a look at this here. And watch, if we stay on long enough, they go to let him know.
Well, in defence of Sarong, it's a great finish from Jordan. He was the one that had to give the ball back, so it wasn't a 50-metre penalty. Jordan cleverly sneaks out goal side and gets that 5 to 10 metre head start, and he was never able to make up that ground.
It's a big win for Grundy here. Every time he's on the ball, Swans get clearance or first possession.
You could argue, and some numbers say Jackson's the #1 player in the comp the last month and a bit. Bolton, who still hasn't had a big impact yet, in game 150. Reed couldn't get it. Chad Warner does. Quick fire kick. Dudley tracks it. Childrick just ran past it and Dudley, luckily enough, maybe for Dudley and Childrick. Wagner. A sizzler to Tracy. It's in good hands again now.
It just presents. Just always provides the option if the ball user wants the short lead up. Tracy's there for you in your vision. Those hands are so rock solid. He only needs half a yard. Extends the arms. Good hit from Wagner.
He keeps circulating. He's not express pace for a big bloke, but I think that's his 4th mark. Might be his 5th. I'm going to check that out in a second. But he keeps running at the ball carrier.
He's become pretty reliable as well. That's the beauty of it all. Low position, big impact.
And Lynchy, for a bloke who's big, when he leads, it's for the backman, it's a long way to get the trailing fist around to try and spoil.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's powerful in that straight line speed, and he's got a good size back on him, so always hard to get the fist around. And now he's providing a good target. And I think even some of his low possession games, he's been able to do some negating rolls to stop those interceptors as well. A very impressive young player.
31-14 for the season now. That's reliability. 3-1 last week against the Saints from 8 possessions. He kicks 1-3, they lose that game.
One stat you don't see on there, Dwayne, is one I love: bowl overs. Does he bowl a few over?
Get champion data to start taking notes on bowl overs. Chad Warner got a little kick. Sarong in the heat of that kitchen. Chad's just doing Chad things still. Floats 1.5 forward. Sheldrick somehow manufactures a kick. Ryan put his heart and soul into it. Couldn't quite complete the deal. Bit too slick for Heaney off his head. Sheldrick, well, he went to kick it, dropped it, and he's gone.
Well, Freo needs to tidy up its centre square bounce work. They're yet to win one, and they've conceded 3 goals to the Swans. Just puts your defence under so much pressure.
Dudley. O'Driscoll. 2 options. Voss protected by Darcy. That's 50.
Yeah, just got in there too late, McInerney. Oh, I love that as a call. It's inconsistent week to week. But when the mark is being taken, I think we're too lenient to allow someone from outside the zone to quickly scurry to get to the mark. Delays the game.
He's the beneficiary of 2 50-metre penalties here, one to himself and one that came down and he ended up getting on the end of it.
Love that concentration in his eyes. He's thinking goal, then celebrate.
Oh, that's a bad drop. Will it come back? No.
Might have had that in the wrong order. Might have been thinking my celebration, what I have to do it.
See, I think those eyes roll around into the back of his head sometimes. He can get excited.
Well, no one will know the look better than you do. See it in the mirror. You saw it for 20 years. Off hands, Goulden.
That means you're suggesting that he no longer does that.
Well, no, I like to see him play on the edge, but also like to see him commentate on the edge too. He's good when he's in this kind of mood. Blakey. Cunningham. And the hand off to Goulden. Yep, absolutely. Just give it to the main user.
Give it back.
Campbell didn't.
Yeah, he was on his right foot, that's why.
Well, he ran into trouble and then found a little seam to run through. Big, fierce to Rasmus. Well, he felt for contact, but it was high from Chad Warner. No, it was a legal tackle.
So he put the fending arm up, Graham, and then if you look at his body shape and how he contorts it, he almost tries to get into a sitting position to back out of it, and that's why he draws that high contact.
Yeah, that depends on who you barrack for that free kick, really.
You reckon?
I think so, yeah. And Chad makes no mistake.
Well, it's a simple finish in the end. I'm with you, Dwayne. I thought it was high initially, but as the umpire thought, or as he saw it, if it wasn't the initial high right there, there's 2 arms over the shoulder.
So, I'm shielded from the right arm that comes over. I didn't mind the left going over.
But if the umpire doesn't call the initial over the shoulder, then the second action must be holding the ball, unfortunately.
And normally the default is that the ball winner gets the benefit of doubt in most instances in our game.
Yeah, I'd say why?
Well, because you've fought to win the ball as opposed to sweating off. But
Well, that's not helping.
I like it when you're feisty. It's good. It's going to be fun.
Well, that's not helping the backman's cause, is it?
It's helping me. I'm up. Let's go. Grundy. Darcy against him. Row bottom. Was that high? Grundy's paid.
Another centre square bounce clearance.
And Hendy humps it. Ryan had a couple of those moments. Clark holds it up.
And when people wonder about why centre square bounce is so important, it's for that moment there. So worst case scenario, you're inside forward 50. Your defenders can get set up perfectly behind the football.
Wagner wrapped up.
And it just puts the Dockers under immense pressure. Their defence not getting a rest.
That's the reason, Dale, why you tend to take the play on advantage, because it doubles down on that not being set in the back line for the opposition.
Good palm down to Wagner. Voss fights that fight nicely, but couldn't quite thread the handball through the eye of the needle. Hamlin wins a free kick, so Voss a little overzealous.
Stay out, follow him out.
Milliken. Hamlin back into the lineup this week because they needed the extra tool. McCartan, little hesitation step, bought himself some time to Lloyd. Fremantle, of course, up happily every time he gets it.
Lizards only had 4 possessions so far, screaming for it here.
Happily sends it long. Marty fell. Clark went with a fist. There were multiple fists there. Good to have Goulden back. It's his 3rd game of the year. There's that slip.
Yeah.
That's not the pocket that was as treacherous as the other. That might have just been a slip on any ground any day. He couldn't, could he? Across the face, and that's the pocket there where the grass was so bad not even Matt Rowell would eat it.
We're about to tick over the 9-minute mark of this second quarter. Shea Bolton still yet to touch the football. Caleb Sarong, ugly, their best midfield, along with Brayshaw, has had the one disposal.
Grundy and Darcy again go at it. Wagner slips it up. Rasmus, Clark, Hasselt. Gordon, floated for a while, and now he takes off, and he's on his favoured left. He centred it, he hooked it a bit too far, Reid. Hasn't seen a lot of it yet, but having a great season. Genuine contender to win the Rising Star, Murphy Reid. To Ryan.
I think go back to that round one performance and what he did at GMHBA Stadium.
Jackson, he's had a couple of statement games. Kicked 4 goals against Port. Been pretty good, Murphy Reid. This game's 16 for him.
Outside 5.
Wagner. And he is the man we speak of, Reid, who gets it on the move, and he's a good heart target hitter normally. Ross couldn't do something with it. It was a shortish kick. Might have been play on anyway. Hamling. Lloyd surveys. Always knew he had that kick of Gordon.
Just needs to let his team reset ahead of the footy, so he just walks back off the mark.
Nick Blakey was desperate for a little uncontested mark there, but he had his back turned.
So I was about to say that's not one of Gordon's best, but he picked out Grundy in the middle of 3 Dockers. Heaney. Hayward. Just lopes along. Takes time moving slow motion sometimes, Will Hayward. Warner in full motion. Wide ball, McLean. He was double grabbing it, and there was a right there for the nudge, surely. Crowd wanted 50. The Lizard.
Oh,
Not Lizard weathered at the moment, a bit warm here. Pierce caught, dispossessed. Here he goes again. Was that the required?
Oh, just.
Wow. Oh, and then Papley tried to milk a 50, barking some instructions. Go stand back there.
Tom Papley's one of the few players in the league that can play football and umpire at the same time, Wayne.
Right.
Reminds me of George Gregan.
And commentate as well.
Yeah,
That's
true.
right. He plays with a passion. Both grandfathers played for the Swans, Tom Papley, so he's got it in his blood, and he didn't quite go the right option there.
Yeah, it didn't really take a step forward. It was almost a standing kick. That's degree of difficulty is through the roof with that one.
It looks like they're refusing to kick it long. Saw 2 in a row from Nick Blakey on that occasion as well from Papley.
Hayward couldn't. Brayshaw did. Ryan. Let's get plenty of distance on it, but the goalkeeper was back there, Callum Mills.
Spread to the outside. They've got numbers.
Lloyd. Heaney.
It's a patient game they have to play here. They're just waiting for somebody to pick a hole through the Fremantle zone. They know that Fremantle's so well drilled.
Row bottom.
This will go on. This will go on, Dwayne, for another 2-3 kicks. I don't think he wants to dump it. That's some representation up there with some big guys. Now he pulls that.
So let's see who flies here. The big guys go up. The little guys go and get. Sheldrick was there somewhere. Just couldn't quite get the kick away. And it's through for a behind.
So this season, Sydney have been the worst team in the competition about finding a mark inside forward 50, just 17% of the time. As good as their kickers are, and I guess last year they were exceptional. That's a fantastic kick down the middle from Jordan Clark.
Absolutely. And down the Staples, Johnson runs. Has a bounce. Loops the handball. Reid floats it wide and nicely measured. It's all about the kick now, though.
Gee, that's good, isn't it? From a kicking. Length of the ground stuff. And as I said in the first quarter, they just sniff that opportunity when that's on and get goal side of their Swans opponent. Each player who received was goal side of his direct opponent.
Giamis. No goals against the Saints last week. Goalless in his last 3 games. To get his confidence back and running, that's huge.
Well, the Swans will be really disappointed with that. They went long inside forward 50. They had time to get set up.
That's a beautiful space to run
And that's
into,
a set.
isn't it?
That's a set piece. So everyone moves to the right of screen, allowing a little bit of space. Here's plays dumb like I'm not involved, and sneaks out goal side.
Thank you.
That's a lovely kick from Murphy Reid, the boy out of Caulfield Grammar. He just finds just that outside of that right foot. So instead of going non-preferred, just dabs it on the outside of the right. It was perfect.
Genuine contender for the Rising Star, Murphy Reid. He's moved to number 1 on the Good Reads guide over there in WA as well, the way he's going. From the ball up, Sheldrick Hassel. Jordan gets it, pumps it long for the instant reply. Bullock couldn't take the mark. Campbell goes and gets. Underground kick to try and find a target, and Marty made it perfect.
Well, this will be interesting. This is last week. You feel like Joel's got to get on the board early. Oh, what a lovely pass as well.
So last time he played, he kicked, well, you can say kicked the goal. He kicked 0-6 and had 3 complete misses. And then his hamstring tightness meant that he missed a game. So here he is. Concentrating. He's back.
So this is the centre square bounce where Sydney have won every single one of them to this point in the game. And it's hard to sustain that from a centre square bounce performance, but Freo deserved to cop their right whack here. Setting kicks, 6 behinds. I don't think you've asked Joel Amani, it's just 6 points in total, 1 goal. He's happy, so he should be. He's back on the goal kicking list.
Yeah, well, that's the difference in the game, isn't it? Centre bounce.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 goals from centre bounce. 4 goals won for the Swans from centre bounce, where it's a transition game for Freo. They've kicked 2 goals, 2 from their defensive 50 and 3 goals from their back half. So very different games at the moment.
So McLean in the ruck now, and the umpire recalls it.
So it's 9-0, as you mentioned, in the centre square bounce, Lynchy, and then 19-9 around the ground as well. So it's been a dominance from the Sydney Swans in the contest.
Thrown in the air. And perfect palm down. Jackson to Sarong. So the throw in the air and the mismatch in the ruck works in Fremantle's favour. Reid, nearly. Voss, sidestep. The other don't argue if you don't mind. That was more adjusting stick. Wagner gets away from a couple. Pokes it inside 50. Big fist. Down to Mills. Low bottom.
He saw Murphy Reid out of that big knee. Big knee coming forward there from Hamling, I think the spoiler was. I reckon if that smelt of a broken rib, he's in a bit of strife, this lad.
So they'll stop play here.
Yep.
Just waiting for him to buy. It's a right. It's a quick clearance. So just assessing. If a quick clearance, you think
Have a look here. Watch his right knee come forward. No, it's the hip that gets him in the rib cage. And you got a 95 kilo man just running at top pace, jumps, turns side on and gets the point of his hip into your open exposed rib cage. Yeah, that's going to do some damage.
And we
Totally legal.
Yeah, we saw Christian Petrarca, what damage can happen from those kind of contests, but he's staying out there. So,
He's a tough kid.
yeah. And he gets, well, I suppose if he's staying out there, then
Yeah, that's right.
you're right for the picket.
Yeah, that's your call.
Yeah.
Cop it.
It will be interesting to see if one day, if we do stop play for a minute, whether you have to come off. That will be compulsory. Heaney chips it.
What a kid.
Buller He might have this kick in him.
Got McLean. Oh, he had him on the outside.
He just eased that to the square, and Pearce takes a good grab.
Yeah, McLean's still remonstrating with him. He got to the outside, had to go traverse across the ground, missed it.
Blakey nearly cut that off and kept it in.
Ready, Luke, couple minutes, please.
Crowd's enjoying the contest so far. Good atmosphere in here at the SCG. Sheldrick, Gordon, quickly wrapped up by Driscoll.
Just wonder if there's an opportunity to roll Isaac Henny more forward here, isolate him. We saw what he did last week in that third quarter. 4 goals, but they've got the midfield under control. They're dominating that part of the ground. For 8 minutes, just see if he can get a couple of goals out of the superstar.
Siren not given any room to move, and as you saw Isaac Henny, who they're 5 goals, 21 possessions, 6 clearances against the Dogs last week.
He was extraordinary, wasn't he?
Yeah, won the game off his own boot almost.
After 1 touch in the first quarter as well, Dwayne.
And that was a little overzealous, that attempted a tackle from Shea Bolton. Game 150 not quite going to plan so far. Heaney, the man we're speaking of, you just can't give these superstars a little break when they're having a lean trot.
Shea Bolton, the man that gave away that free kick, Dwayne.
Yep.
To keep mentioning it, but he's their X factor. He's yet to touch the football. Make the play in this second quarter.
Swans Academy, Isaac Henny, pick 18, back in 2014. And you're right behind him at home. That'll work its way back. It'll work its way back. But not enough.
One of the things that is working for Fremantle, we've seen Wagner, he's running around. He's not really tagging Goulden, but he's just making life difficult for him. Even though he's had the 9 possessions, he's only been able to bring the ball inside 50 twice. Now, if he can get more than that, if he can do that more often, you're going to see some retention of the footy inside 50.
Henny! Starting to put on a show. O'Driscoll did well there. Brayshaw. McInerney out of his shoes. Clark likewise with one hand. Johnson. Here's the Fremantle flow. Good turn by Tracy. Cut down by McCartan and lets him know.
It's a good blind turn before he got done, though, wasn't it? For a big fella. He's a bit stiff there. Did well.
Weeks and Cunningham add to the possession tally. And now the launch. Big thump. McLean. Big fist. Knocked to the front. Sheldrick got his arms free. Oh, didn't handball it according to the umpire. Well, he's asking the question. I thought I handballed it, but Chapman's happy. Brayshaw. Johnson. Reed. Good seeing that. Up and running. Being crunched. And 50. So is that against Heaney because he ran the wrong side whilst pursuing Banfield?
Spot on, Dwayne. Banfield went left. Heaney tried to cut the angles and go right. That's what he's complaining about. Allows Murphy Reid to get the 50-metre penalty. They've done a lot right, Freo, outside of those stoppages.
Yeah. Gee, waste no time in the end and blasted across the face. Could have settled there.
It's... Derm, I mean, you're the goal kicker amongst us. It's still the unusual thing. Why not still take your 30 seconds? Why not get yourself completely set, take a deep breath, and then still, if you want to kick it around the corner, you can.
Yeah, that's inexperience. I mean, your team will tell you that we need that 30 seconds to set up behind the footy at least.
Gee, you've upset Lynchy. Dal, you said that Derm's the goal kicker amongst us.
Yeah. Well, Lynchy went to full back, as you mentioned before, with the screw-ins. I took that into account.
No, thanks. I dropped my microphone. I was very fast.
Sorry.
I'll let you two sort that out.
That's what on me.
On the cab back to the airport. Chip kick to the middle. Oh, thanks. Jackson. Erasmus.
Good lead.
That's a dirty little kick. Not quite for Reed. flick from Blakey. Reid did well. Hassled it away. Chips it back. Outstanding. That's why he's a contender for the Rising Star, Murphy Reid.
He did really well. Alistair, you and I are on the same line here. That ball was completely out.
We're on the same line as 12,000 Sydney Swans supporters, and I think they judged it was out.
Yeah, keep playing the game, though.
The whole of the ball has to be across the whole of the line.
It was.
From the shadows of half-time, Wagner loads up and is equal to the occasion.
Lovely strike. And he did well, Murphy Reid. Yeah, dubious whether it stayed in play, but you keep playing the game, so you don't stop. And it happened in their favour. So here we go, to the outside. Nice little pat down. Yeah. Even Wayne Harves is calling that one.
You need a little luck in this world.
You do.
Got a good history with Rising Stars, Fremantle as well. Paul Hazelby, Reece Palmer, Caleb Sarong. Also got a couple playing in this game that are Rising Star winners, but didn't win them with Fremantle. Jager O'Meara is the sub today, and Luke Jackson as well. Throwing Daniel Pearce, who won it with Port Adelaide. So it's good that Murphy Reid's a contender. Darcy, Jackson. Flicked out by Rasmus. Great smother. Heart and soul being thrown into this game by both teams. Dudley flicks it. Brayshaw had it, lost it. Darcy somehow. Goulden through that traffic. Trapped. Wide ball. McCartan should get there. Does that front spot.
I'm going to take my head off to young Isaiah Dudley there. He charged at that ball when there were bigger men sweating on him, offering a bit of punishment if he got it wrong, and he stayed over it. You just take your hat off to that and say, what a good kid.
Mills to Blake.
I also like this by Justin Longmuir, something that we don't always associate with his coaching styles, the creativity, the variety, but
It's trouble. Goulden edged out of it. Colton gets his moment. Slung. Wagner a little slip. Now it's almost in the back, but not quite.
But when I like that, putting Luke Jackson in the midfield, it's something that Sydney would not have planned for. You go through all the possible scenarios. I don't reckon that one was on their checklist. Just forces some problem solving of the Sydney mids and defenders as he rolls forward.
Sarong caught high this time. No, I'll have it.
Yeah, I thought Goulden actually tried to milk a free kick for him in the back there. He just seems, even though he's, as I said, still on the 9 possessions, he just, sorry, he's up to 11 now, yep. He just seems a touch out of sorts.
Good attack from McLean. And here goes Papley. Has a little bounce. Not sure who he was kicking to. Amati, Ryan hunting him down. We tried a little shake and bake, but he was cooked himself, and Ryan lets him know.
He tried the shake and bake, but he never came off the line.
No.
He actually didn't move sideways. He was thinking shake and bake.
It was a great decision from Luke Ryan. He had to leave his opponent goal side to come forward.
He's as good as there is in the game to actually work that moment.
Correct.
Bolton working his way into it now. He's up for his second touch here. So look out when he gets rolling. Jordan stripped. Haywood feeds it. Sarong, that was brilliant. And Voss, big fist away by Handling. He measured his run and step and launched at the right time. Happily having a rest.
Might have
He's
come off
okay.
with, yeah, might have had a little injury concern after he kicked that one out to the flank to Amati.
Yeah, and walked from the ground and shook his head, so I think he's out of the game. Robertson's getting warmed up on the bench.
So heel or ankle lynchy has been the issue?
Yeah, not sure what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, not sure on this occasion. We'll check it out.
Wicks. Big 2 minutes coming up. Campbell. Keeps it alive, keeps it rolling. Clark was on his hammer. And the umpire says toss it in. And there is looks hamstring-ish by the looks of that. would be horrific news. Interrupt the season for Tom. And a slap down. Jackson nearly. Gordon with the outside of the boot. Warner feeds it inside. Missed his target. Banford a little toe. Now they come at him. Gordon again. Trying to make something out of nothing. Jordan's got a second ripper. And he might let Sarong know for a second time.
That's a superb finish on the stoppage at forward 50. Surging the ball forward so you can track him coming through. He's looking for his opponent in Sarong, 15 metres defensive side. Sarong's hunting football. Just gets in the vision. Just a handball. That's the second one from a similar position. That one probably more difficult. Just gets in the vision of Gordon. That's all he needed. You think about the danger of Sarong going the other way. Just had an inside 50 kick where he worked through a contest. He's had the 4 disposals. And on the flip side, this man who does a superb job week on week. Kept Ed Richards to 5 disposals while he was on him last week. The week before he had Connor Rosey, 8 disposals while he was on him. And to get 2 goals out of him in the first half, that's just a bonus.
And he walks up to Caleb Sarong again for this ball up. Stand side by side. Darcy, Grundy and Jordan again to Grundy. Not quite a handball, but the umpire let it go, whatever it was. Lloyd kick smothered. Mills. That didn't look like a handball from here either, after he had a little prior. Not enough noise of affirmation from the crowd, though. Wicks, the chip. Over the head of Grundy. Warner made it good. Henny. Here goes the Lizard. On a run. Lines him up. And the Lizard brings the crowd to their feet.
He was gone. As soon as it looked like there was a turnover on half-back, he thought defence is over, Dwayne. I'm getting bored of the football. There needs to be more of me involved in the play. You'll see him flash through to the right of screen. There he is. He's got young Murphy Reid. He had goal side on him by a metre or two. Haney with quick hands. Game's over. Breaks 50. Just chips it through and celebrates.
And something's got to be done there in the middle of the ground. No, that wasn't a clean centre bounce, but that's another goal from centre bounce. So in these situations, the Sydney Swans are dominating. 5 goals, 1 from centre bounce to zip of the opposition. It's a major concern that the Dockers are going to have to address at half-time.
Spot on, Lynchy. It is fixable, though. They can make some adjustments, structure up the centre square bounce differently, because that's not sustainable.
Well, Grundy got a first palm to that again. He won't get the clearance here, but he lays a splendid tackle on O'Driscoll. He's a different man, Brodie Grundy, this last month and a bit. He did finish 4th in the best and fairest last year. He's always been one of the best in the comp, but it's like a man possessed, and he possesses it here. Amati. Let's sweep back to Robot. Well, Pierce backed into a jam rather than out of one. Got away with it.
You're right, Dwayne. I think just from memory, even going back to about 2019, just seeing firsthand Grundy just run and just so much energy, and it went missing for a few years, but absolutely over the last 6 weeks, it's well and truly back.
And Driscoll did well there. Can they steal one late? A launch from Bolton. Great mark, but Carlton back in this week from Elders. And will they just run the seconds down here? The Swans chip back to Lloyd. And be content with this lead, which, for the record, is the biggest lead of the game so far, if you joined us late. 17 points the margin right now. Fremantle has not led in this game. Swans have led from the outset as Goulden heads wide and more seconds are chewed up. Siren sounds. And, look, it might sound crazy to talk finals in Sydney, but if they win 8 from 8, they win this game, then they stay alive. It makes it 7 from 7, and they've got some very winnable games to come at the conclusion of this one if they can get a little run going as well. Teams below them on the ladder. Sydney, if they win 8 from 8, I'll have 14 wins and play finals. 13 made it last year. So you might as well do what you can to keep your season alive. And right now, they are on track to do that. And Fremantle began the day 9th, 10 wins, 5 losses. You don't want to be the kid without a seat when the home and away music stops. And right now, Fremantle doesn't have a seat for September. Half-time, 8-5-53, the 5-6-36 as we head downstairs to Alistair Lynch.
Thanks, Dwayne. And
Not exactly.
Half-time here at the SCG. Great to have your company wherever you might be watching. The stage is set for a big second half to come. The home team loving what they've seen so far.
Swans quick one.
By 17.
All right, there we go, half-time, and you said it right, Eddie G. Frustrating game by Freo. Get it out of the middle. Well, I tell you what, at the moment, they can't. It's Sydney Swans, 8-5-53, leading the Dockers, 5-6-36, 17-point lead here to Sydney Swans at half-time. I tell you what, Grundy is, I tell you what he's doing. He's just a star Grundy up there at the moment, doing everything. I tell you what, he's got to be just about best on ground at the moment. As I was saying in the chat there, Freo got to lift their pressure, their intensity in this game. Sydney Swans are just, I tell you what, they're just looking so much better when they get the ball. Dockers look under pressure most of the time when they've got it from Sydney. They need to swap that, flip it around. Freo do, and especially a couple of those chances in front of goal. They should have kicked those goals. Missed them, so let's hope they don't kick themselves out of this game. But yeah, they certainly need to lift their pressure if they want that. A lot of their guns of the Dockers, they're just not performing at the moment, which they should be. Now, one good point, Papley was grabbing at his hammy. I think he was going down to the rooms early, so he might be out of the game. We'll just have to wait and find out on the break, maybe in the third quarter. We'll just have to check on him, but he'll certainly be a big out for Sydney and a good out for the Dockers if that is the case. But Sydney just seem to be looking, Sydney look like they are on song today. They got their run transition going really well and link up, whereas, and playing faster brand of football. Dockers a little bit slow, hesitant, and they're just not... they're just not linking up too well. They need to be the hunters and putting the pressure on Sydney and stop these Sydney Swans from flapping their wings. All right, let's pop over and have a look at the goal scorers. We did have a few in that quarter, of course. In that term, let me just double check that. Yeah, 5 goals to Sydney put on in that second term. The Dockers could only manage 2 goals, 3 goals, 3. 3 goals, 3. I'll tell you what, a couple of those behinds, the Dockers should have scored goals from, that is for sure. And, when they were calling the ball was definitely out. I tell you what, from where we were watching, it didn't look out. It looked like he'd actually kept it in. So I'm not sure what he was saying. Israel Vi, how you going? I look like he just he was grabbing at his hamstring a little bit, so he came straight off the ground. Hasn't played anymore since, went down to the rooms early, so we'll keep an eye on that to see whether Papley comes back or not. We'll get a guide, but it didn't look good when you're grabbing your hammy a little bit like that. It's either tightened or twigged a little bit. Normally they don't come back on the ground, but we'll certainly... the commentators will let us know when they are back. And we'll go back to the commentators not too far away because they'll give a little bit of analysis, etc. on the opening half and some of the updates. Just looking at the goal scorers while we're waiting for the commentators to come back. For Freo, Josh Tracy, for 2 goals, their only multiple scorer out there. All right, actually, we'll come back to the stats in a moment. We'll head back to the commentators. We'll see if they got any news on Papley as well.
Fremantle need to win this game to get their way back into the top 8, and they're 17 points behind. Consider the last 2 goals of the half to trail by 17 points at half-time. But bittersweet news for Swans fans, with the Swans leading by 17, but maybe some bad news about to come your way from Alistair Lynch and Dermot Brereton. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Yeah, down here at ground level, as we saw just before half-time, Tom Papley walked from the ground with what appeared to be a hamstring injury, Derm, and the news just coming out of the Swans race is he's been subbed out.
I think it was just that moment where he sprinted forward and chip kicks over the top to try and put it into the path of Joel Amati, and he just pulled up short and said, that might do me, let's get this checked out. But they've since come out at halftime and said no further part in the game.
He shook his head as he got to the bench, and just before the siren went at halftime, he walked down the race with the doctor and very disconsolate and obviously out of the game. So that's disappointing for Tom and certainly for the Sydney Swans. Another positive, though, or a positive for the Sydney Swans outside leading at half-time, their clearance work. They've been dominant, plus 13 for clearances, but in particular, their centre bounce work with 5 goals from centre bounce.
Absolutely. So it is the mechanics of the 4 that are in there. And it's when Grundy is in there predominantly, they're having the first look, the first touch, the first clearance, first possession. It's always going, predominantly going Sydney's way. Fremantle got a couple late in that quarter, but they've scored out of the centre, and that's, look, if you add that up or subtract it from the total, that's probably the difference in the game as it stands.
Yeah, absolutely. As you touched on, when there was first possession from Fremantle, the pressure was that enormous that the Swans were able to turn it over. So really good part of the game. And once again, we're probably focusing on, and understandably focusing on, the Sydney Swans. James Jordan, week in, week out, does some great jobs. Caleb Sarong, he would have had the circle around his name all week here at Sydney. He's done an outstanding job.
Well, after a game like he gave us on his last performance, I don't think Caleb Sarong thought he was going to come out here without any attention. So he'd have been ready for it.
Yep.
Was he this ready, though? Because he has done a number on him. And then banging through a second goal on him, well, that's a huge win. Huge win for the Swans. Huge win for their planning up in the coach's box.
Yeah, spot on. James Jordan, 2 goals. Caleb Sarong, just the 4 disposals. Plenty of work to do here for the Fremantle Dockers. Sydney Swans lead at half-time by 17 points. When we come back, David Zeta with all the news from around the league.
All right, so we just heard Tom Papley is out of this game with a bit of a hammy there, so not good news for him. But as I said, good news for the Dockers that he's out of the game, because he can be a little bit of a fly in the ointment, one of those ones that really light the Swans up. But as I was saying, I tell you what, Brodie Grundy, I tell you what, he's got to be definitely vying for best ruckman big man in the competition at the moment. Absolutely on fire, and they're right. 5-1-35 out of the centre bounce, the score for Sydney to the Dockers. 31-0 from centre bounces for Sydney, so absolutely getting dominated in that area. And as I said, that's where they need to clean that area up a bit, just like Dermy was saying and Alistair Lynch was saying there on the commentary. So that's one good thing. It probably came at a good time, the break for the Dockers. They can just regroup, settle, and go through a few things to try and sort this out and come back in the second half, in the third quarter, with a game plan and turn this game around. But there we go. So, yeah, you're welcome. I know you came in just with the news with Papley, but there you go. Let's head back to the goal scorers. As I said, for Fremantle, the only multiple is Josh Tracy. He's got 2 straight goals. Corey Wagner with 1. Paddy Voss with 1. And that is all. Oh no, Jai Miss has also got 1 for the Dockers. For the Sydney Swans, though, James Jordan, the only multiple goal scorer there for the Swannies. He's got 2, kicking straight, nice and straight. The Chad's got 1. Hayden McLean, Jake Lloyd, Brodie Grundy, the big man's got 1. Nick the Lizard Blakey, Joel Amati's got 1. I tell you what, that goal from Nick Blakey was absolutely sensational. Started his run probably about 30 metres off the defensive goal, ran down the middle of the field with speed. His blonde locks flowing in the areas, running down the centre of the ground, took the handball received, ran to 50 and slotted it straight through the goals on his left. What a goal. He ran the length of the field, did the lizard man for his goal for Sydney. All right, let's head on over to the disposals. Let's have a look and see what's happening there. Callum Mills tops the table on 15. No real big ball magnets at the moment out on the ground. As I said, 15 disposals leads the way out on the ground for Callum Mills. 12 kicks, 3 handballs, 5 marks, a tackle and 1 clearance. There we go. Next best is for Corey Wagner for Freo with 14 touches, 12 kicks, couple of handballs, 4 marks, 3 tackles, 2 clearances and a goal. The next handful all come from Sydney. Jake Lloyd, Goulden, which is having a great game, both on 14 touches. Isaac Heaney, a lot better second quarter from him on 13. And of course, Brodie Grundy, as we were saying, what seems to be at the moment the best ruckman in the competition. He's up to 13 touches. His stats are just incredible. I don't know how he doesn't get a best and fairest winner or a lot more Brownlow votes. Brodie Grundy, 13 disposals, 5 kicks, 8 handballs, 3 marks, 3 tackles, 13 hitouts, 8 clearances and a goal. Doing it and being the playmaker there for Sydney Swans, absolutely fantastic, is Brodie Grundy at the moment. Best on ground in my eyes out there. Let's see if the umpires say that at the end of the game if he continues his form. Chad Warner lifted in that second term, of course. The big guns come up and shining when the Sydney Swans are firing. 12 disposals for the Chad. He's kicked a sausage roll as well. Luke Ryan for the Dockers on 12, 9 and 3. Nick Blakey, the lizard man. Tell you what, he'd be handy to have. I tell you what, this is a type of player every team would love to have in their side. One that has got speed, run and carry off the half back, and a fantastic ball user and a great kick at goal as well. He's on 11, 10 kicks, a handball, and he kicked that fantastic goal through the centre of the ground. There we go, Justin McInerney on 10. Andy Brayshaw, come on, you need to lift, son, you're only on 10. Who else have we got there? Luke Jackson. Well, look, he's not. I don't think he's having the game he had the last few weeks. Just the 9 disposals, 3 and 6, only 8 hitouts, 1 clearance. Needs to lift a little bit as well. As I said, Papley out of the game. He went out of the game at half time. He just had the 7 to 8 disposals. Didn't trouble the scoreboard there. So. Let's see who else we got. Josh Tracy down there for the Fremantle Dockers. Well, not getting real great delivery down towards him, but he has kicked a couple, 6 disposals. He's had 4 kicks, 2 handballs, and just the 2 goals for him. Who else we got there for everyone to have a little bit of a glance at? Isaiah Dudley. Well, he needs to come into it. Maybe stick him down forward. Get a little bit of dash and magic. That would be all right. He just had the 5 touches, 1 kick at the moment. Caleb Sarong, like they were saying, getting well tagged, well had. 4 disposals up until half time. That's just not like him. He's usually one of the guns there for the Fremantle Dockers. 4 disposals, 2 kicks, 2 handballs. That is it. 1 clearance. He's got to do a lot better than that. Shai Bolton, also another one for the Dockers. He needs a big second half. He's only had the 3 touches so far. He's done nothing. 1 kick, 2 handballs, and a couple of tackles. Needs to lift. Of course, Joel Lamarty there, well, he's a little bit quiet also for the Sydney Swans. You think he'd be having a bit of a day out at the moment, the way Sydney are going, but he's just had the 3 disposals, 2 kicks. At least he kicked a goal. His prior 6 kicks were all behinds, but he finally found the big sticks and put it through the goals. Let's see how far we are away. We're about 5 minutes away from the bounce of the ball for the 3rd quarter. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the team stats. And of course, the Sydney Swans, they're plus 37 overall, and pretty much those come from the kicks, plus 36. No, plus 39, isn't it? What is that? 13? Plus 38. Oh my gosh, my math. Plus 38 in the kicks. That's the way. Good kicking percentage ratio to handball, 125. 61 handballs, 62 to the Dockers. Inside 50s, well, both teams getting a little bit of it. Fremantle, a little bit low, though. They still need to, their mids need to do a little bit better, get the job done. 23 inside 50s for Fremantle, just the 11 scoring shots. Sydney, however, 29 inside 50s. And I tell you what, Sydney do look a lot more dangerous when they go inside their forward 50. 13 scoring shots for their 29 insides. Sydney's efficiency, definitely a little bit cleaner with the ball, 71, 68.5 for the Dockers, fair bit under season average. The pressure on Sydney are bringing is really, really good. Free kicks, 14-11. Umpires look like they're having a bit of a day out with the whistle. +3 to the home team. Oh, it's funny how the home team normally gets the better of the free kicks, but that's how it's happening today, folks. The hit-outs, well, a little bit bizarre. It's normally the hit-outs, Brodie Grundy he normally wins them when he's in the centre, etc., in the ground, but in this fact, it is 20-16. The Dockers are +4 there, but the clearances, this is where a lot of the damage is being done. 26-12, they're +14 in clearances, but this number here, centre clearances, 10-2. They're +31 points from centre clearances. 5-1-31 to no score from centre clearances are the Sydney Swans. So the Dockers really need to adjust in the centre clearances and get some of that play and get the first touch out of the centre for the Dockers and get that ball down their forward 50 and give their forwards the opportunity. Stoppage clearances 16-10. Sydney always pretty good around the stoppages. Contested possessions, there we go. Sydney +9. As I said, Sydney are harder at the ball today. Sydney are harder at the ball. They're putting the pressure on there. They've got that fight there, Will. You can see the hunger the Sydney Swans have out there a little bit more. It's like Sydney haven't been fed for a week and they're out there. They're that hungry. For the Dockers, though, it looks like they've had their main meal. They've got just a little bit of room for dessert, so they're not that hungry out there, and they've got to change that around. Dockers need to feel like they haven't eaten for a week and get that hunger back, get out there on the ground. +21 in uncontested possessions, turnovers 31-34, pretty reasonable turnover game for each side. 53-44 in the marks. There we go, it's just +9 to Sydney. Marks inside 50. The Dockers 5-4, surprising. Sydney's ball seems to be a little bit better delivered inside their forward 50, even with that. Let's have a look at the tackle count. Of course, we're going to see Sydney on top in the tackle count. They're +8 at the halfway mark. Dockers need to start and level that up, but this is one of the big figures, folks. We'll talk about pressure. Sydney inside 50, their forwards, they're putting pressure on like no man's land. I tell you what, 13. Their season average is only 9.7. They've smashed that already, and it's only half time. The Dockers, 3. Their forwards, I tell you what, when they get it down their forwards, they just got to stop it rebounding. Their forwards, they've got to start and put the pressure on the defensive backs of Sydney and try and hold that ball inside their forward 50. Put the pressure on and cause the turnover to get that score for the Dockers. Dockers, you need to lift. That is it. You need to lift. You need to lift. You need to lift. All right, just in case, I just want to advise Adrian Turner, look away now because I will put the live ladder up. This is the live ladder, folks. This is the live ladder. So look away, Addy G. This is the ladder that's prior to the game. Of course, Fremantle, we're here sitting in 9th position, sitting on 40 points. 110.4%, 10 wins, 5 losses. Fremantle need to win this game. This is it's a no-deal game. They have to win this to jump into the top 8. And of course, if they win this, they'll go up into 8th position. Their percentage is still they'll actually jump right up. They'll jump up into 5th spot if they can win this. If Fremantle win, they'll go up into 5th. Sydney down there on 24 points, but if I turn the live ladder on, we'll see Sydney jump all the way from, I think that was 14th, all the way up to 10th. Still 3 games outside, mathematical possibility that they can still run to the finals, but this will be a huge, huge loss for Fremantle if they can't win this. It's a difference of remaining in 9th position with under percentage of the other teams, or jumping up into 5th spot. So this is a huge, huge game for Fremantle. All right, folks, hey, let's get back down to the action for the bounce of the ball. The third quarter is Sydney by 17.
Massive second half for Fremantle. They're outside the 8 right now. They need to win this to get back in, and same old, same old. Sydney with the clearance. Warner with a little poke pass, delightful. He wanted it on the fly-by, stolen. Wagner. And they might get one quick on the rebound here. They got 3 men. Brayshaw hits Jackson coming out of the goal square. Perfection there.
So, well done. You always stay in the game, but if you want to look at this in replay, Warner ran away from Brayshaw. They were shoulder to shoulder, didn't chase him. The handball doesn't come back to Warner correctly. Brayshaw just sat back on his haunches and went, oh, I'm done. And somehow the ball makes its way to him and he runs forward and laces one out.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than skilled. You need the little things to go your way, but maybe the footy gods thought he didn't deserve it. Hits the behind post and hasn't scored.
Yeah, I reckon had Warner run on and kicked the goal, I reckon he might have gone, oh, I'm expecting the runner out at any moment now. But no, luck's a fortune. Turnover.
And especially because they would have spoken about centre bounce for the whole of that 20-minute break.
Yes.
McLean comes up. Couldn't take the mark, but Henny, front and square, perfect crumb.
Gee, that's a good kick.
He's dropped it in a bucket, hoping that Haywood would be there. Chapman did get there, and they got him.
So O'Meara is the sub for the Freo Dockers, who's unused at this stage. Saw a lot of devastating injuries last night in the Port Adelaide Brisbane game, being a man down. So fingers crossed there's no more.
Won't be long until he comes on. You cannot get bashed up around the ball and just leave someone like O'Meara on the bench to chance.
Trickler, Hamling, got there first. Clever knockdown to Mills for the 1-2. And he wants the corridor. Dangerous kick to bite off. And it might come back to haunt. Tracy feeds it wide. Little fumble from Clark. O'Driscoll. Tracy. Who's going to take the shot? Sarong. Well, they can get him back into the game. It's a different game. Caleb Sarong bounces back.
It's a great finish. Just his 5th disposal. So 4 disposals in the first half is his lowest contribution in 4 years. But if he's not going to get a heap of the football, then how can you impact? Bottom of screen, just tracking the football off turnover. And this is what they need to do, because they haven't been able to get it done at stoppage. So when you've got the ability to keep it in your front half, you get possibly your best player back involved, or one of.
How good were the hands of Tracy there to gather? I mean, we talked about a couple of fumbles in that play, and that was the worst handball in that chain, and he made it good.
He's probably more rounded than we give him credit for, Tracy.
Yeah. Well, you got hands that big, the ball sort of sits in there fairly well.
Back in the middle, Darcy and Grundy. Brayshaw did well. Bolton in game 150 started to get it a little down. Who's going to go for this? Well, the sub, Roberts, made it his own there. Almost an uncontested mark. He protected the drop zone and thought he was going to be caved in and wasn't. Heads long, Heaney lets Amati fly. Gathers the crumb, got his arms free, Warner. Good little drop step. And the poke pass, delightful to McInerney.
His first 3 steps, Dirk.
Yeah,
He goes
some
from
damage.
Yeah, he goes from pinned into a position where he looks like he has to dump kick it. Just watch the acceleration. So first the composure to not be rushed. Right there, just a couple of steps to give himself enough space, and then the composure to find McInerney inside forward 50. That's rare.
You're right behind him at home. Big kick this, it won't come back. So they dodge a bullet there, the Dockers. A few little things started to go their way.
I know Chad Warner's a West Australian, so the answer to this will be a no, but he almost moves like a rugby league player, how he has that drop step and just wrong foot somebody and gets past them. In fact, rugby league might look at him and say, we might make him a convert.
Let one go there accidentally. Good diving mark taken by Melican.
I'm not sure they could afford him, Durn.
Yeah, that's all.
Brady out.
There's not too many clubs who could afford him in the AFL either.
Sits it up for the leapers. Who's going to be the highest of the climbers? McLean got a palm on it, but went one-handed. Johnson.
Tackle. See that, Dwayne? At half-time, 13-3. 13 tackles to the Swans, inside forward 50. They average 10 a game this year. So they're going at 2.5 times their normal rate.
How's the pat from Grundy? Dehaney! That would have been a miracle goal from outside the boundary,
Joel, sir.
which is obviously a little wider than we thought it was. Yes, Amati is hurt there. So they haven't stopped play, even though Amati's writhing in pain. Clark plays on. Heads out wide. Ryan can't mark it. Reed.
It's be interesting to see what they do with it. They deem this worthy to stop the game like they did for Murphy Reed.
So head injury, they definitely would. Sometimes a rib injury they do, but for leg injuries, they don't.
If that's open in open field, that's taking the legs.
So still 17 on 18 at the moment. He's still a little injured. Line's all right. Okay, he's up and running now.
Yeah,
That's good news.
Got the binoculars on him. He's shaking that off.
Short, Brady.
And there's Papley with a hamstring with the ice on it.
Yeah, shaking that off.
Grundy again gets first palm to Goulden, who takes off. High bomb, Amati, who looks okay now, even though he's gone to ground. Heaney with a little double-handed pat. Back to Heaney. Amazing team goal.
Oh, missed.
He's missed it, Campbell.
That was unselfish by Heaney. He probably had enough time to make a surety of himself. Did the team thing and passed it on.
Hard to believe that didn't go through. He's one of the best kicks in the game.
Yeah, but not on his.
Yeah, that's
not
wrong.
on his right foot.
Yeah.
It's just there for balance.
Cox.
They're going to do that a little bit better, or a lot better, the Dockers. They're under pressure, need to have a contest at a bare minimum that long down the line. Can't afford to allow uncontested marks and put yourself under pressure in your defensive half time and time again.
Mills thought it wasn't required from McCartan to Cunningham. Heads long, goal square. McLean got the rise. Warner got the crumb. Keeps it alive. Knocks it out to his own advantage. There's that jousting stick. Couldn't get away with it though.
He's looking dangerous though, Warner.
Wagner to the other Warner, the other Brad Pitt. Back to Wagner. He pokes it wide. Still the belief high amongst the Dockers. Big second half here for them. Began the day 9th. Need to win this to get into the 8. It might be a tough 8 to get into if they're not in it tonight. McCartan to Rowbottom. Feeds it back. Cunningham. Mills. Possession fest, but not going forward. Now they are.
Well, he's got a Marty out.
Roberts looks and he puts a lace out to Marty, who can sail in. Dance around Clark. He got him by the Dax. Good tackle. Clark got one high, did he?
He's
Looked like
tried
it.
Yeah, he tried to make sure the umpire saw it. He probably did get it.
Jordan Clark,
Let's have a look.
Jordan Clark went the wedgie option on
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah, he did cop it there. Yep, he copped one across the chin.
Whether they'll look at that, considering it was a bump rather than a tackle technique.
Darcy scooped it in, gave it back. Johnson, that was clever. Brayshaw. Siren. Starting to find some possessions and creative with them now. O'Driscoll. Drop step. Fell over. Back to Brayshaw. Inside kick delightful. Bolton off and running. To set it up nicely. Inside to Warner. Further inside to Ryan. Johnson. Room to roam. Needs a target. Frederick. Will he go? He's giving some thought. To the pocket. Voss in the middle of it. McCartan mops up that mess. Plants his foot into it and finds Goulden. Calms it all down, Errol.
Well, it's calm there, but it wasn't calm in front of me. Will Haywood, for the last 2 minutes, has been trying to get his finger put back in the joint and in excruciating pain. Hasn't gone back in, so they've taken him off and they're going to start again. Not good. Not
Start
good.
again.
Right, bottom wide. McLean in the middle of that pack. Grundy got a piece of it. All to the back, and Ryan braced for contact.
Still an injury we don't give much sympathy for. Is a dislocated finger.
No, I shouldn't have been laughing. Sorry.
It is funny when it's not you though, Lynchy.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
okay.
I still think of it when I see you and Dern writing notes, Lynchy. They stay with you, those busted knuckles, for long or forever. Brayshaw runs away, chips it nicely to the chest of Amos. And he goes to the pocket to Voss. I think he might have got there.
I think he half volleyed it. It was a really good pickup on the bounce.
Well, they're not going to check the video. They can't do that. So they're having a chat. Did he get his hands under it? Yep.
Yeah.
I thought he got there.
I reckon it's
get
landed
there.
between and bobbled up.
Yeah,
Boss is telling him that he marked it, but hard to take his word for it.
No, to the naked eye here, it looked like it hit grass.
From the scramble. Bolton
Takedown.
caught.
Don't mind that from Bolton. When you're close to goal, you've got to have a go like that. And you run the risk of being captured with the footy.
Melican. Cunningham.
It's amazing to watch Errol Goulden behind play. He's going to get this. He is the youngest on-field coach in the AFL. He's 22, and he tells senior teammates where they'll be going. He'll tell them what tempo they play and how they're going to play it.
Hamling. And now Blakey holds it up. Brayshaw puts some pressure on the kick, but not enough pressure. And now they're out with the lead lane for McLean.
Massaged it around, didn't they, Dale?
Yeah.
First. Yeah.
That Nick Blakey.
Well, he plays on quickly. Spare man inside 50 is bizarre. It's Lloyd, who hasn't had the best of times goal kicking this year. He's kicked 2 goals, 10 for the season.
So in the back line with Errol Goulden, he made that ball shuffle the Fremantle zone twice from side to side, and in the end they just gassed them to get to the recipient of the short pass, and they were able to go through them then from the other side.
This for the biggest margin of the game. He drills it, and they're out by 20.
Well, Jeremy, you explained it perfectly regarding Errol Goulden across the half, back wide, the game awareness. But have a look at this kick from Nick Blakey. So he's held up, he goes under the arms of Brayshaw to allow that ball to move forward quickly. If he's held up, they have to go slow, go back over the mark. That was the difference with that ball movement. Unselfish play here from McLean. The guy that hasn't had the best time in front of the sticks, had a rather handy day as a small forward.
Both the key forwards for Sydney, be it McLean, who gives a bit of relief in the ruck, or Joel and Artie, have come at the kicker today. They've really tried to make space in behind them and led up at the ball carrier.
To see there, Will Haywood is not on the bench. He's gone downstairs with the doctor.
So already down 1 with Papley. We'll keep an eye on that. Bolton goes and gets and thumps it. Tough ball to mark, finger breaker. Voss did slip on that strangely repatched pocket. And Tracy the meat and the sandwich. Ball. Clever wide kick to Grundy. He puts it to grass. Danger inside, and that's a brilliant tackle by Brayshaw. No prior.
It's got to be holding the ball. He tried to fend him, didn't he?
Depends on which umpire you ask them. Obviously, yes, it is. Okay, nice.
That one. Yeah. That's a good takedown. Good tackle. He was that uncomfortable time, you know, like teasing distance in his zone. He was under enough pressure that he had a chance to think about evasive action. So he took it, and that's your prior gone.
Across the face, it's markable. Jackson's there, hands on it. Tracy was there. Jackson! And he snuffles it! And they stay alive.
Well, it's fantastic creativity from the big man. Sydney be really disappointed with that. They had numbers on the goal line, setting up a goal line defence. Look at the amount of red and white jumpers there are around. They fly. And then just a bobbling ball with 5 Swans around it. Jackson is good enough to go on his non-preferred over all the fingertips.
Just set up, guys.
I'll be disappointed with that effort.
Thanks, guys. Straight down.
Well done to Angus Brayshaw too, laying the tackle that kept the ball in the forward half of the ground. Got a couple of takeaways out of the centre here, Jay Bolton. Just clawing his way into it. They're just starting to get a little bit of a share in the middle of the ground.
So Heaney for company, they're side by side, but will they just split here once it's bounced? Palm down, Bolton, Heaney right with him, rolled him, but he got a handball away. Their belief has grown. O'Driscoll caught, beats it out. Banfield, arm it down. That might be ball too.
Well, their belief should be really strong, the Dockers. They're doing so much right outside of the stoppage game, and in particular centre square bounce still.
Amadi, who still looks a little crook, sends that long. Jackson thought he had it. Now the run. Johnson, little fumble, Erasmus, trouble again. Goes back in to mop up his own mess. Feeds it out. Wagner. Nicely delivered to O'Driscoll.
Go with him.
Who holds.
Outside 5.
14 points the margin. Biggest margin of the whole game was the 20-point margin the Swans had a few minutes ago. Wide ball. Melican kills it to the boundary.
He's a great story, Lewis Melican, isn't he? Like 2-3 years ago, I thought, this boy's just making up the numbers, but he has turned into Captain Reliable. He's not going to run down the field and David Dench kick your goals on the run and anything like that, but he is your classic old lockdown key position.
He had some injury issues this year. Brayshaw pumps it long, and Boss gets there, turns and looks. Gesturing with his eyes, hits a good spot. Tracy to the front. Wicks, that was a little thin, but he got the kick away. Dudley couldn't wrap him. Good attack from Buller.
Been told to hold it, don't play on, he has. There's no one ahead.
So Warner goes, Childrick goes. Again, nothing long, only has the short pop. McLean, nothing to go to until he waits for the cavalry to arrive. And Marty.
They actually went too quickly for how they would have perfectly liked it then, but it all worked out. Joel Amati ran pretty hard down there. You look at those Fremantle backmen around the mark, hands on knees, they are gassed. When you turn them around and they've got a chase.
It's a little bit difficult not to give the ball to Chad Warner when he's calling for it.
Yeah, true.
You sort of give it to the men, trusting that they're making the right decision up the field.
Got his confidence back now, Joel Amati. 0-6 and 3 complete misses last week. 2 straight this week.
It was a good win by Buller.
Yeah,
It was his mark, the dump kick out of defensive 50. So he's just positioned himself. Any contest here is good. But he works his way into the front, takes front position on Clark, and that's the handball there. So everyone else is saying, give us a second to get in front of the football. We'll give you an option. Chad says, no, I'll be your option and I'll make something up as we go. And then what that forces is Ryan forward to the football. He picks one player to man up on. They go the alternative option. Great finish.
Will Hayward still downstairs getting that finger put in.
No,
He's out?
just as you spoke, he's just come up and he's got about 5 kilos of tape around, got a couple of fingers there to hold it in place.
Excellent. You don't shake his hand if we're interviewing post-game. Sarong feeds it out. Darcy in pursuit, but his head down, row bottom. The tackle machine had him. Driscoll. Good attack again from Buller. Ryan feeds it out. Erasmus. Sarong. Johnson. Margin back to the biggest margin of the game, 20 points. Frederick. That's a good grab. Under some heat. Ton of time left. Dockers need to win this to get back into the top 8. Wide ball and McCartan led Voss in the race for it. There's Will Hayward. Looks ready to roll. So not the required. Wicks didn't hear it. And he's caught and he kicked it with his knee. That's ball. Dudley free.
Where does the kick stop? Is it below the knee? Below the knee.
Yeah.
I think they'll question whether that was 15 or not. The umpire was very quick to say it wasn't, so that was the justification. Dudley did really well to hunt it down.
He sniffed the opportunity, didn't he? Yeah.
Now he needs to sniff out a goal.
See, as much as we say, was that 15? Dudley knew it was borderline.
Game 11 for goal 10.
He loves it.
He absolutely loves it. He celebrated from the moment. Leather hit leather.
He went into the Karate Kid crane position as soon as he struck the ball, Dwayne. He loved it so much. A really good play, though. So he is high alert here. That kick there, he knows that's a chance to not be 15. He hears the call. It keeps his head in the game. Really well played, young man. Really well played. Game 11 for him. Footy smarts.
And that's the Michael Walters as well, I think. Celebrating Michael Walters' career. Announced this week that he's retiring, one of their all-time greats. Game on again. Back to 14 points. Darcy staring at Grundy. Sarong's back in the middle, ready to go. Side by side with Jordan, who's worn him like a glove. Grundy, was that a handball? It was a flick. G. Bolton's having an impact now, second half. Didn't touch it in the first quarter. Gets 2 possessions for his trouble there. Make that 3. Feeds it inside. Make that 4. Gets it back. Wide ball, is it markable? Not quite, but it's kept in. Dudley. Reid did well to keep it alive. And Bolton, this would be a miracle if he kicked the goal from there off the back of 5 possessions in a string of play.
He had one touch in the first half, and he's had 5 in one passage of play.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Greg Williams get 5 in a passage of play.
Unbelievable. But this is fun now to watch. Now that he's cranking in game 150. Ball flicked away from Buller. O'Driscoll hits a pretty good spot with the kick. And the fist of Mills kills it. 6th season as coach for Justin Longmuir. 10th last year. Teams on the rise. Fremantle never won a premiership. Been in the comp since 95. 31 years. They get their chance this year. Got a good list. It's there for them. Need to grab this one out of the fire.
Just, total admiration of James Jordan, the job he's doing on Caleb Sarong. I know Sarong's started to get near the footy and get hands on, but he never bear traps him and puts the arms around or anything. He just touches, and he's such a good run-with player.
Jackson, he keeps it alive to the square, but with a couple of goalkeepers back. The Swans. Sheldrick and Johnson. Johnson, little paddle. Turns Sheldrick inside out. Feeds a handball further on. Dudley, clever kick. So Reid to line up to cut this margin back to single figures.
There's no doubt Messiah Dudley is a quick thinker. He just thought his way through that in the instant. very, very smartly. Ball comes up to him here, and he just threads that kick. Best option, first time.
They did this last week, the Dockers. Outplayed in the first half, and then they came. And here they come again.
Well, it's been a good 10-minute block from the Dockers. 4 goals straight this quarter. Starting to capitalise on some of those opportunities which they missed earlier in the game. Had the 11 inside 50s this quarter for those 4 goals straight. So you see Murphy Reed just setting up here. And it's, as you mentioned, Derm, first option, simple option, see it, hit it. And Dudley assesses it really quickly. One step. Crafty under the arms of Rowbottom as well.
And Dal,
contested mark.
Freo have made their sub, so you'll see Jago O'Meara looks like he's gone straight into the midfield, just trying to identify who's been subbed out. Maybe Erasmus is to the back of the bench, so we'll confirm that shortly, but Jago O'Meara into the game.
Quality player to bring on as your sub as well. Game 192, 6th game of the year. Foot injury that he overcame to get into the team, and Brayshaw starting to find it a bit. O'Driscoll's been fantastic. Feeds it back. Warner to shoot. Did pretty well. Jumps in. Now he's on it. Needs to get it out and did. Chapman. Alistair Lynch.
Yeah, it's Patrick Voss has been subbed out of the game, so a tactical sub. O'Meara in, Voss out.
Thanks, Lynchy. For one less. Tall forward. Brayshaw stripped.
I don't know Voss at all, Dwayne, but I don't feel he's the sort of character who would like to be taken out of a game. You don't want to be the one to tell him.
No, tell him by telephone.
Yes, from the other side of the country.
I reckon if they get up in this game, though, he'll prance out there, the prance and pony, and celebrate big time.
They're up here.
Absolutely they are.
Up on the bench. They're on their feet. They're yelling onto their teammates on the field.
Yeah, spot on, Derm. There's a much better field, there's much more energy since half-time for the Fremantle Dockers, and they've narrowed this margin, and they're absolutely in this game.
Yeah, this is the first time today they've kicked 2 goals in a row, and Darcy looked like he was grabbed in the ruck there.
That's a
So they've had some things go against them, and that's ball now, Chapman. Gordon, we took advantage. Umpire said go. He didn't want it, and now he hammers it. That is a freaky goal that he'll take, but boy, going to take some understanding. Didn't want it, did want it, took it, kicked it. After a free in the ruck that looked like it was going to go Sean Darcy's way.
Yeah, Harold Gordon, after he takes the advantage here, see, he's playing the game at speed. He didn't hear that early call, and then he goes, no, I don't want this now that I've heard it. But the umpire said, no, you've taken it, son. Keep going. That's the first time I've seen them reapply and then slot the goal.
But when Gordon stopped, the Fremantle players stopped attacking him.
It was Wagner. He's spot on, Dwayne. He stopped with him. Anybody else said it's a massive blooper, but he's just too skillful. He turns that possible clanger into a fantastic goal.
So are you allowed to still tackle him like if he puts his hand up?
100%. You play the umpire. Well, he's not the umpire. You play the umpire's whistle. That was the advantage. And what we often see is players find an opportunity to bury someone when they try and take advantage, even if it's not there.
Yeah, well, until you get reported for overzealous in the context of your tackle, given the player had stopped and said, no, I'm not running.
Yep.
It's a bizarre part of our game.
Watch here, McInerney and Bolton. It's getting a little nasty there between those two.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it in a way. This game's gone up a gear, so it's coming back again, even though they played on to advantage there. Grundy. 1:36 left to three-quarter time. Edge of the seat stuff. Fremantle playing for a spot in the 8. Sydney playing to keep their season alive. If they win 8 from 8, they'll play finals. The next 2 games are St Kilda and North. They could keep their season alive by winning this. Wide ball. Little push was delightful by O'Meara on Heaney.
Clever, wasn't it?
To Bolt, who's racking them up now. Chips it. Good mark, Pelican. You're seeing his praises, Dermot.
Yeah.
gone from sprained adductor to unrestrained abductor as a defender this year, which is good to see him in this kind of form. He turns that over. Ryan drops it though. Off the face of Pearce. Mira inside. Ryan gets it back. Banfield. Frederick. So they've got a roll of the dice here, the Dockers.
He had to hit. Swans had extra numbers approaching that contest from the back.
Chapman. Now Ryan can go. Bench urging him to go on. Johnson now. Get it in there. Let's get a mark attempt. Sets it up. Jackson got it. With the siren about to sound, who else? He did it to close out the game last week.
He got the clean run. On the replay, we'll see here that he comes from behind. He skims past the inside of the pack. Watch him here come from behind. No touch. McCartan gets lost in that traffic. An unimpeded run and jump. He's too good to let do that.
People think it's a bad idea to have two lead singers for Fremantle, but it worked okay for the Beatles. Sean Darcy, Jackson, the combo will steal the win again. He lines up and Call and Luke goals after the siren. 8-point game with a quarter to play. Do not go anywhere. Sydney has led from the outset. Fremantle has not seen the lead in this game, but they're 8 points away. 11-8, plays 10-6.
Well, there we go. Three-quarter time. We've got a game on our hands here. Dockers kicking a goal after the siren. Jackson. That's the way to do it. That's what we like to see. 11-8, 74. Sydney. The Dockers 10-6, 66. 8 points the difference. They're trailing. Rampadier Kur said, hi, how you going? David, how you doing? If Freo loses, it's over for their season. It's not over for their season if we just stick. That's the live ladder now. But I tell you what, it's really going to be tough to break into this top 8 here. Fremantle need to win this to jump up into 5th spot. I think Fremantle have got Hawthorn next week to play, so they might have a few tough games, Freo, to come before the final series come. That's why it's so important every game for Freo to win. These games they can't let drop, because we saw what happened last year to Freo. I think they were 9th, weren't they, ADG? And all they had to do was win a home game to secure himself a spot in the final. So these games are just so vitally important. I know they're saying Sydney, if they win this and they win all their games, that they can get in, but I can't see Sydney getting in at all. Even if they win this, they'll still be 2 games behind plus percentage, and I don't think these teams above them are going to drop the games. And of course, Gold Coast has still got that game in hand. I still don't know when they're going to play that extra game. But, you know, that being said, you want to be in the top 8 and you just need to keep winning to secure your spot in the top 8, because these are 8 pretty good sides in the top 8. So, yeah, Fremantle, look, they need to win today. No one can rely on other teams losing. You just have to keep winning. Same situation, 8-point deficit like last Sunday, and we won last week. The difference was that was at home, and of course you've got the crowd behind you at home. Of course, Freo were a lot better in that third term, putting on 5 goals straight. 5 goals straight. That's the difference. You've got to kick straight, and you're going to bring yourself right back into this game. Sydney, they kicked 3 goals, 3. There we go. But I tell you what, they were definitely a lot better. And you could see in that the final 8 minutes of that third term, you could see the Dockers actually lift a little bit of their intensity and a little bit of their pressure, and had a little bit more composure, a little bit of smarts around them. And of course, Isaiah Dudley, he was instrumental in a couple of goals there. Of course, the rundown tackle, putting it through the goals, and then a beautiful chip to their forward from the 50, Isaiah Dudley, resulting in another goal. So great work to him. But there we go. I tell you what, it's game on now. Now the Dockers are back within 8 points here, 3/4 time going into the final quarter. It's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. They got the belief, and they'll be saying, the coach will be saying, boys, we can't let this one slip. As you said, remember last week, 8 points, the same deficit. We got to get up and win this game. This, just think of it this way. This could be the defining quarter in Fremantle Dockers' season this year. Whenever you get to the final home and away season and the home and away season finally, you always look back and you think, you know what? If only we just had won that game, only had to kick that one more straight ball, got that one more goal, we would have been in the finals. This is like one of those games for Fremantle Dockers right here, right now. This is their game. This is their moment. This is the time that they need to step up in this last quarter. They need to play their best football that they can possibly play. They need to shut down Sydney. And, of course, they did a little bit better out of the centre bounces in that term, the Dockers. They got a little bit of clearance out of the centre. And, of course, it stopped that first touch for Sydney. As we know, Sydney were absolutely dominating out of the centre bounces, 31 points to 0 in the opening half. Dockers got a little bit of that back. Suns' next game is July 11th. There we go. Gold Coast Suns, yeah, they play Collingwood next weekend. I think the Gold Coast Suns might actually win that game. David, can you believe it? Me being a Collingwood supporter, saying that I think the Gold Coast Suns might win that game. There we go. I tell you what, you lost to Sydney by 3 points in round 2. Can't lose to them again. There we go. So it's games like that you need to, and good teams need to get up and win. Sydney's, Sydney last week got beaten. They've been beaten the last couple of weeks, only by 9 points last week. Copped the slacking the week before. So the Dockers need to come out and, the coach needs to install in them that, you know what, it's tight. The momentum swing has come back to the way we want to play. And that's exactly how it looked and appeared, in the final few minutes of that third term. Dockers got the momentum. They just need to keep this going in the final term, and maybe they can get up for a victory here, an upset victory, because Sydney went into this as short price favourites in this game. Sydney have led the entire match. Fremantle not being able to reach the lead yet. Can they do it? Fremantle Dockers, you need to get the first couple of goals in this quarter. If Sydney get the first one or two, I'll tell you what, it could just break the spirit of the Dockers. So this is vitally important. Dockers get the first 1 or 2 goals to keep their spirits up. Keep them with that belief for that run. All right, let's head back down to the ground. Good luck, Sydney. Good luck, Freo. Let's head down, bounce to the ball. That's Sydney by 8 points.
All right, let's get it on. He's 22.
Leadership.
31 years in the competition, Fremantle. They've never beaten Sydney when behind at three-quarter time. All sorts of history on offer. And in game 150, Shea Bolton weaving his way through traffic, threatening to be the difference maker. Might get this back again. Reed, Tracy, hands it up. O'Driscoll, top of the square. They've got their numbers back. Roberts in the hole. There is the quarterback, Goulden. Robot.
It's a long way up the ground there, Ryan, on the mark.
Grundy in the middle of this, got hands on it, couldn't mark it. Beautiful crumb by Chad Warner, in full flight. Campbell had McLean on the move to the pocket. He stumped it in his direction. McLean had to turn around and realise it was there. It's a great mark taken by Chapman.
They're just not on the same page, those two forwards. They wanted isolation. They actually bumped each other. The kick wasn't ideal.
Thumped up again. Darcy, when he pushed out Grundy and then the lizard dropped it, O'Driscoll paddles it. Good spin. Inside handoff. O'Meara couldn't find a handoff. Buller rode that bump. Wicks. Game's gone up a gear. Mills, Goulden, down the spine, cut off. Ryan wants to go. Brayshaw found some room where there wasn't a lot and bangs it long. Amos was thrown out. Jai Amos was thrown out by McCartan, and he gets the chance to cut this back to a 2-point game.
Well, without even looking at the stats, you can see the flow of play from Freo. Different to what we've seen this season. They're happy to play on, They go at about 15% play on percentage, so it's been clearly more today. Shoulder to shoulder. McCartan just moves Amos to the side.
One complete miss and one goal. Any struts?
That's
Goal
pretty
on
good.
nearly the hamstring there too.
Yeah, he had an arm around his opponent as well. It's just the stronger man won.
Stay out. Top. Play on.
Blessed are the McDerm. Mills. High. Good mark to Hayward.
That finger's good.
Yes.
You pop them back in yourself, they're out less time.
Well, Gordon said, no, I don't want it. The umpire said play on anyway.
It didn't come off his mark.
No, it was funny.
Oh, that's a good take.
Here's Buller
Took the pace off it with just the flat palm to start with.
from WA, overlooked by both West Australian teams. So they might have a point to prove. Heads inside 50. Cox knocked it down. Rowbottom crunched. Chapman likewise. O'Meara put his head down.
That was an important jump by Will Hayward there because Brennan Cox had actually stationed himself perfectly underneath that drop. That would have been an intercept mark. Two really good passages of play there for Will Hayward.
Siren hammers it away. It's a tough day at the office, but he might do this week what he did last week. Have a big last quarter and steal the game away. Wicks turns to the pocket. He pumps it. McLean's there. Buller's there. And Hayward's there off hands. Oh, that's normally like shelling peas for Will Hayward.
Expecting that ball to grip and turn left. Just skimmed along the surface.
Did. Sin. Thumb clear. Murphy Reed to create something again. Warner kicks smothered. Wagner goes hard on Roberts. Took him legally.
That's all right. It's a good bump. Got him in the... just a hand on the head, but he got him in the shoulder and... Oh, that's good footy.
Darcy rips out of the air. Can they get some luck? A floater inside 50. Blakey bumped on the kick by Sarong. Darcy's under it. Couldn't quite pull it in. Hayward spins into a jam. Had Pryor. Made it attempt, the umpire said. Got away with it. Dudley back. Clark. High. Hot spot. Jackson. Great Mark Hamlin.
He pushed as much as was legally possible.
McInerney. So many things hinge on the interpretation from an umpire. The grey areas.
It seems like they've just gone into a tiny bit of preservation mode.
Like a push for Pearce there.
It tackled him.
So Luke Jackson's now rolled forward.
Yeah, handling. That's why they've picked the third tall in the back line.
Need to be able to,
got him.
Yeah, got to go centimetre for centimetre with Jackson.
Wide ball. They've got Johnson on the run. A goal and it's all square. 5 minutes from time. Chip kick. Frederick couldn't get there. Bump clear.
So coordinated. John Darcy led up the ground and he knew he wasn't getting used, but what he did, he made Grundy chase him out. So Grundy, they lose Grundy as that extra in the goal square for that long kick.
Reed breaks the tackle, got the kick away, and Milliken. Campbell.
No representation down the line. He'll take his time, Lynchy.
Down the line again. Hayward got there. Chapman with the big spoil. Plays a splendid tackle. Dispossessed. Jordan inside handoff. Grundy's going to have to go. Not sure that was option A. Tracy. Warner. They might make him pay for that decision. Brayshaw. Amos. Not quite. Got away from Milliken. Fed the handball back. This would be massive. High. Bomb. It's wide. It's a behind. It's a behind.
They've lost their run.
Yeah.
They've lost their run, the Swannies.
Fatigue's definitely set in, Derm, but this is about scenarios. So that choice by Brodie Grundy that Dwayne said, not choice A, I reckon we can work our way down the alphabet. It's not in there anywhere.
So a goal and they'll lead. A goal and they'll take the lead for the first time in this game, Fremantle. 5-point margin. Not such a bad behind to get. Hamling wide. McLean comes up. Big spoil Pierce. Siren. And Hamling read it well. Tick, tick, tick. They are holding back the tide here.
Problem is, if you keep playing for time, if they get one, then you cut down your own time to get another one back.
Hayward got his arms free. O'Driscoll nearly picked his pocket. Jordan outside of the boot. Got plenty of ground. Clark goes back and gets Ryan with some poise. Cox drills that and put it.
Chance to lock it in their forward line again. 21 inside 50 tackles for the Swans today. Their season best.
Hayward tried to throw the handball through. Ryan had it, lost it, hassled. Grundy feeds it out.
Make that 22.
It's been a feature, hasn't it, Derm?
Yeah.
Pressure in the front half, also soaking time on the clock. They've got the field position.
Dean Cox, his first season started like a horror show. Heaney feeds it off. Jordan gave it off. McInerney, not the required. Heaney being told now. Turns, goes, spears. Delightful to McLean. That's what class does. Put it in your hands of your best ball user. Put it in the hands of a man who can slow time.
So once again, it's in his hands now, but how important is that fight by McLean in the 1v2 40 seconds ago on the half-forward flank to win the ball into the forward line?
So behind here makes it a one-goal game and gives the ball back to Fremantle. A goal and it settles things down and they can break Fremantle's half if they can get home from here.
Well, it's his third for the match. It's calm. But this is, you speak about what Sydney just needed. Sorry, what the Dockers just needed. It's just some moments of brilliance. Just calm heads in tough situations under pressure. Isaac Haney finds the uncontested mark. Yes, the big fella loves it. And Dean Cox, he loves it more. And what Dean Cox is now asking is, you can see him throwing his arms, is we need numbers behind the football. So expect the wingers to roll behind the footy as soon as this ball is bounced. The half forwards will slide up the line and clog up the midfield. They'll try and lock this down for the next minute and 45 seconds.
They're all in now. There's Sarong back in, Brayshaw in, Bolton in, Jackson in the ruck. Everything's got to go forward. They'll sweep through. They'll kick this or they'll get another one posted on them.
They need 2 goals from 140 for the miracle finish, and Bolton could be the miracle man. Throws out that jousting stick, as a few have done today. Launches long. Pierce has been set forward, couldn't mark it. Lloyd, Warner, hurries a kick towards the wing. Take the ground. Cox takes to Sharon. Gave it to Clark. Pumps it. I need some luck. Frederick turns, goes, shoots. On the full. And that should be enough now. They could hold possession, you would think. Goulden, they need 2 goals.
They won't be going down the line. They're outnumbered.
If anyone can hit a mark target, it's Goulden. But will he just go long now? He wants the mark target, and that is precision if you've ever seen it.
This is the right bloke at the right time to take that kick.
There's not many that would even try and bite that off in this situation. Hamling definitely shouldn't. This has got to go long down the line.
The ex-Docker as the seconds tick. High, big spill. Good attack again from Reid. He didn't keep it alive though. The player's been skittled down left, right and centre. Down to 48 seconds.
That's a Marty down behind play. And it looks like
I think it was Ryan.
Ryan.
Yep.
Joel's really disappointed here. Let's have a look in the replay. It looked like he jumped a little lane.
Can we look at Brody? Just wait, hang on. Still wait. We're still waiting.
So every player takes a breath here. We've got a little time to have a breather with the injured men on the field. 48 seconds left. 11 points the margin. Fremantle need a miracle. Otherwise, they'll be finishing the round outside the 8. Justin Longviewer knows nothing he can do now.
I reckon that's groin.
It looked like he was just holding the groin there at one stage,
Yeah.
so really struggling with that left.
That's why he didn't
groin
jump
area.
out, Al.
Yeah.
I reckon, you know, when you drive your knee up to get that elevation, that's why he couldn't jump. I'd say that's groin.
It was a tight hamstring that saw him out last week after that Port Adelaide game. So
Conversation maybe for post-game about waiting for players through injury rather than blood rule or concussion.
round of applause for Joel Amati.
In the old days, they just used to run him off at the boundary line nearest.
Yeah.
Flying in the air.
Coming back on.
Yeah.
Heaney, Jackson, another ball up as a win for Sydney. Johnson tried to get it clear. Warner tried to roll it away. Through legs, Sarong. There's that Sarong-Jordan battle again. It's going to go all the way to the wire. Warner feeds it back. McInerney, high bomb, but the seconds tick. Chapman gets up, takes the mark, but there won't be time enough for 2 goals now. High kick. Mills gets there, tried to kill it. Milliken, Wicks, smacked it away. Siren about to sound. Crowd about to rise. At the start of today, they needed 8 from 8 to make the 8. They now need 7 from 7 with St Kilda and North to come the next 2 weeks. Season is still alive. 94 to 83 for the Sydney Swans. And for Fremantle, you don't want to be the kid without a seat when the music stops. But right now, they don't have a seat for September.
Well, it was an entertaining game. It was everything that we expected coming here today. Freo, a really good, solid team on the cusp of finals. And the Swans finally starting to get some of their players back now. They'll lose probably, fingers crossed, it's not for too long, but that was gutsy. I love what they did around the contest today, the Sydney Swans, particularly the centre square bounce. An area that's traditionally very, very difficult to score from. But today they kicked 5 goals, 2 directly on the centre square bounce, and at the end of the day, that was their difference.
He's in good form, Brody Grundy, isn't he? He's turned himself back into a premier, a star.
Well, let's go down to him. He's with Alistair Lynch.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Here with 2 of the stars of the game, and say Brody to start with. I mean, we're just talking about off air. Centre bounce just absolutely dominated today.
Oh, that's surprising. I actually felt like they were pretty good in there. And Darcy and Jackson, they're just such a unique combination. So I actually thought playing the game that they were pretty solid in there, to be honest.
Well, you're 9-zipper early from centre bounce, and you kicked 5 goals from centre bounce. So you didn't get that feel, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just trying to reset each moment. So whether we're playing good from stoppage or bad, like we're just trying to be a process-driven unit in the midfield, and this guy's leading the way with that. How good has he been coming back into the side? Just ultimate professional. He's been super to watch, so well done to Errol.
Absolutely. You'd be rapt to get back. I mean, frustrating season for you being on the sidelines, but that display, just to keep a glimmer of life in the season.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think I've probably come out and I'm playing with a bit more gratitude and different perspective after missing so much footy, and just loving being back out here with the boys playing. And you know, we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep training hard during the week and hopefully take care of business on the weekends, and you never know what can happen.
Now, you've been playing with one of the great ruckmen in the modern era, and probably the last 6 weeks have near been close to your best. Well, I'll go to you. How do you think he's going?
Oh mate, he's been unbelievable. It's been an absolute privilege to watch the way he's gone about it the last 2 seasons, to be honest. And I think Brodie would probably admit he didn't have the start to the year that he wanted, but he is someone, as he talks about, he's process driven and he never goes away from that, regardless of how, I guess, the outside perception of his results is going. And he just doubles down on what he's good at. And hopefully I can take a leaf out of his book in the way he prepares for games and comes out and executes.
You didn't get a great feel with how the centre bounce was going. What about your feel with equal PB clearances with a dozen for yourself? You didn't get that either?
No, mate, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm just blessed to be with these sorts of quality players in the midfield. Whether, I'm getting on top of it with the clearance or, I just get just as much, I suppose, satisfaction distributing to the likes of Errol and Isaac and Rowie when he's in there. And Gus Seljuk, how good's he been since he's come into the side? So we got a lot of quality players and we're trying to share the load through that.
Now, we've been commenting during the game. You look like you've got as much energy as you've had for a number of years. Do you feel that? And how is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a credit to the Swans. I just feel reinvigorated since I've come here. I feel really supported. And, that means the world, when you feel like you have that trust from the coaching group to back you in and to play your style of footy. The world's your oyster, and I'm certainly feeling that.
Yeah, absolutely flying. One frustrating thing, we see Joel Amati go off with looks like a groin strain. And man, you've spent a bit of time in the injury room this year. Tom Patley looks like a severe hamstring. That's obviously a massive downer for the whole team. Yeah,
mate, it's been a pretty tough year for us with injuries. Sometimes I guess it's probably not a bad year to be in rehab because there's plenty of boys around. But obviously that's a frustrating part. I saw Joel go off at the end. It didn't look good. It's we just got to take it for what it is, and it's a squad mentality and next man up, and all we can do is just prepare as well as we can and come out and try and do our best on the weekends.
Well, a sad note to finish on, but congratulations on both your performance. Outstanding today and a really good win under the pump.
It's good to have the Swans fans turn up as well, and their voice in the last quarter was awesome, so shout out to the Swannies.
Oh, they were pretty happy with you, definitely. All right, thanks very much. Well done, boys.
All right, there we go. Unfortunately, the Dockers just couldn't quite get the job done, kicking themselves out of it in the final quarter. 2 goals, 5. 2 goals, 5. You got to kick straight, Dockers. Got to kick straight. The Sydney Swans put on 3 goals, 2 in that final term. 14-10-94, 12-11-83. It was 11-point winners here. To the Sydney Swans. Let's hope Melbourne beat Adelaide. I tell you what, we'll head on over to the other game in just a moment. Second quarter underway, 6 minutes in. It's Adelaide 2-3-15, trail Melbourne 3-7-25. We'll only be a few minutes away before we head over there. Let's just recap the goal kickers today for the Swans. Hayden McLean topped the table with 3 goals. Jake Lloyd, James Jordan, Joel Amati with 2. Chad Warner, Will Hayward, Errol Goulden, Brodie Grundy, Nick Blakey with 1. And, of course, for Freo, Josh Tracy and Luke Jackson with 2. Corey Wagner, Paddy Voss, Caleb Sarong, Murphy Reid, Michael Frederick, Isaiah Dudley and Jaya Miss with 1 each. The disposal getters, Nathan O'Driscoll topped the table there with Callum Mills on 26. 1 each from either side. Errol Goulden 25. Of course, Chad on 24, which is good. Brayshaw ended up with 24. Not too bad also. Heaney with 21. Brodie Grundy, what a star he is. 20 disposals, 33 hitouts, 12 clearances and a goal. You're a star, Brodie Grundy. At his third club there. There we go. Oh, what a shame he left the Magpies. But there we go. There are your player stats. I'll just quickly roll through these, folks, because we're going to head on over to the other game where we're all going to cheer on, I think, for Melbourne in that next game. Let me just roll through the team stats. Let me just reload that, just make sure that... Yeah, I didn't realise the stream was loading a little bit there. I just popped outside for a moment, come back, and then it was loading. My gosh. There we go. What's that? 22 plus disposals to the Swans. Inside 50s, 48 the Swans, 51 the Dockers. Dockers had their chance, just couldn't quite kick straight enough, unfortunately. Free kicks, 22-18, plus 4 to the Swans. Look, it wasn't too badly umpired, I think, in the end. The hit-outs, Swans got on top, plus 2 and plus 9 in the clearances. Dockers did well coming back centre clearance-wise, 14-10 to Sydney, and plus 5 in the stoppage clearances. Contested possession, uncontested, all pretty even. as I said, it was a pretty even, tight game today. I think the Swans just used the ball a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more smarter, and of course kicked a little bit straighter than the Dockers. You know, at parts there also, the Swans was just certainly more determined to win this game today than the Dockers in most patches. I thought there were patches where the Dockers came back, but they need to bring that pressure and intensity for 4 quarters, Dockers, if you want to be up there in the top 8. Tackle count, that just goes to show Sydney, their pressure was right on. 81 tackles, 60 their season average. Dockers 53, well below. And of course, tackles inside 50, 23 to 8. Swans really good in that area. Dockers need to improve on that area as well. But that is the score. That is the timeline. Sydney led from go to woe and ended up 11-point winners. Of course, we were thinking maybe the Dockers will get back there, certainly around this period when they got back to within a couple of points there or so, maybe 1 point within Sydney. But of course, Sydney put on and steadied with a couple of goals and ended up running out. There we go. 11-point margins. They're up 37 to 15. Wowee. Melbourne plus 22 points at the moment, 10 minutes into the second quarter over there at Adelaide Oval. All right, folks. Hey, that's all I've got for this one. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. We did have the poll. 69% did go for the Sydney Swans, so well done to everyone in the poll. Commiserations to all the Dockers supporters. Hey, you got next week, but I think next week you've actually got Hawthorn. So that's going to be a really tough match to get up and over. Sydney Swans. Let me just double check that. The Dockers are playing at home next week up at the stadium. Next Saturday evening, they'll be taking on Hawthorn. That's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game, isn't it? And, of course, next week, the Sydney Swans head on down to Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. They'll play St Kilda at Marvel Stadium, so another interesting game for both teams coming up next week. All right, folks, that's all I got for this one. Thanks, everyone, for popping on in. Hey, if you want to come over and listen to Melbourne and Adelaide, just jump on over to the stream. I'll be live there in just a few minutes' time. Sydney Swans singing their song. All right, that was the Sydney Swans players singing their song after the game in the rooms. All right, folks, hey, that's it from me. I'm over and out for this coverage. Let's head on over to the Melbourne-Adelaide game, which should be a cracking game. As I said, the Swans just too good today for the Dockers. Swans by 11 points. All right, folks, until next time, ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.